Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chatter Squadron, your weekly dose of Star Wars fun and positivity. My name is Tyler Bucks.
And my name is Logan Hansaker. What is up, you rebel scum?
Well, we have an amazing show up for everybody because we're talking about an amazing show. The Bad Batch episode that just came out was super, super cool, actually.
Oh, yeah.
A little dark, a little
ripping,
dark,
yeah. Pretty dark.
Pretty dark in some spots. But we will be talking about this with some not so dark in their soul people,
right,
with Dominic and Chris from Podforce 99.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
I am excited.
Are you sure about that?
I think I'm excited.
That's what I
Now
like
you're
to
making me
hear.
second guess my own excitement.
What else are we excited about? We're excited to give people art. The art right behind us. Logan, tell them about it.
We have art from Acme Archives Direct, and you guys are probably pretty familiar with this piece. It is The Gift by Al Abazia, and comment in on any of our streams this month. I think till the end of June is what we're saying for this one. So up through June, you can be entered in to win The Gift by Al Abazia.
And what better gift is there than something named A Gift? Or The Gift, actually. Or A Gift.
If it's well, no, it is The Gift.
Well, I'm changing it on the fly.
I'll contact Al and let him know.
You can also help us on our Patreon at patreon.com/Chatter Squadron. Rise the ranks over there. What do they get, Logan?
They get show notes, Discord, post-show shout outs.
Perfect. I love it. When I came in the door today and you were working on the show, I came in just hearing you go show notes, Discord, post show, shout outs.
It's a real thing. I try to remember it.
Yeah.
And I mess it up every time without fail.
And speaking of shout outs, we give a shout out to specific patrons at the Commodore level. So shout out to Commodore Marroquin,
Commodore Marroquin,
Commodore Rayside,
Commodore Benty,
and Commodore Mellish. So if you want to have a shout out every episode, you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/Chatter Squadron. A little bit more housekeeping here. We are hosting a live event at Superscript Comics and Games for their free comic book day, and that is Friday the 13th. Friday, August the 13th. I just wanted to say Friday the 13th. But are you excited? I'm just going to keep asking you. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited. I'm excited that I got to do the Logan Gasp already so early in the episode.
Perfect.
But yeah, no, I'm super excited to do that. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to see you do the Logan Gasp live in front of people.
I'm going to have to do it there. We're going to bring the Logan Gasp.
We're going to have a countdown for when that's about to happen.
And we're going to bring the Logan Gasp to Bottle House, Lakewood, Ohio.
Yes, so if you want to see our faces in person, try and come for Friday the 13th in August. But we don't have a countdown for this. We're about to execute Order 99, and that is when Dominic Jones and Chris Sequel from Podforce 99 are going to join us in a little bit here. And what they're going to do is they're going to take over the show. All right.
Podforce, stealing it from us.
They're stealing from it. They put a chip inside of our show, and they're about to turn it on. So you guys better be ready for that. So guys, give a warm welcome by yourself at home watching your screens to the guys from Podforce 99. Hello there, Dominic. Hello there, Chris. Oh my goodness, there we are.
Hey guys.
Hey,
thanks for having me.
Are you excited to talk about this crazy episode of The Bad Batch?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't want to dive into it too much just yet, but what an episode. What a game changer. Literally. It felt like we always say the show is a sequel to Clone Wars. This one really felt like it. And I'm excited. It's such good stuff. And so good to see Rex again. I miss that guy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't feel like Clone Wars unless Rex is there.
That's how you know. That's how you know it's Clone Wars.
You can tell he has so much passion because he bleaches his little tiny hairs every single morning.
Yeah, he's dedicated to keeping his hair color.
So dedicated. But it's time for you guys to take over our show. So spoiler warning, we're about to talk about Bad Batch. So if you haven't watched the episode, what the heck are you doing?
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Go watch it. But if you're excited to see Podforce 99, then that's going to happen right now. Take it away, boys. Good soldiers follow orders. Am I right?
No, it's not right.
on a Clone Wars podcast, that's one of the scariest lines you can say. Yeah. All right. I'm not used to doing the opening to the show without music, and so I always feel really weird doing it. But we're gonna do it. All right, we're gonna do it cold, and let's see how it goes. It may be a disaster. I'm not sure. All right, here we go. Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Pod Force 99, the Star Wars Underworld's weekly The Bad Batch discussion. We're back this week to talk about Season 1, Episode 7, Battle Scars, written by Jennifer Corbett and directed by Saul Ruiz. This week, at the insistence of Captain Rex, the Bad Batch traveled to the starship graveyard of Braca to remove their inhibitor chips aboard an old Republic cruiser. However, things get dangerous when Wrecker's chip is finally activated. So much to get into this week, including the Bad Batch debut of CT-7567, aka Captain Rex, what it means for the series now that the Clone Force 99 has their chips out, and just how tasty is that popcorn that Wrecker and Omega were eating in this episode. If you've been to Galaxy's Edge, you know, hashtag not sponsored. We'll be diving into all of that and so much more here tonight on this special video episode of Pod Force 99. That's right, video. This episode is being broadcast live on the Chatter Squadron YouTube channel. So if you're listening to this on your podcast app and you're thinking, you know, I've always wanted to know what the Star Wars Underworld guys look like when they do this show. Well, this is your chance. You can go over to youtube.com/Chatter Squadron and you'll be able to watch this on replay. And also shout out to everybody that is tuning in live this Sunday. And of course, we want to thank our hosts at Chatter Squadron for inviting us to do this special episode. And we're so thrilled to have them and you here with us for our discussion of a Battle Scars. First, though, introductions are in order in case you're new to the show or you've forgotten who we are. That can happen, or maybe you're just not used to seeing our faces. My name is Dominic Jones, and with me, as always, it's my good friend and co-host, Chris Segal.
Hello, I am live and in color. I'm excited. It's been a very long time since we've done video at the Star Wars Underworld. I remember we used to do things on Ustream and also Google Hangouts. Like there's some weird stuff that we did like 10 years ago with video. So it's cool to be doing a crossover of that, and I'm excited. This is a perfect episode to have for this. A lot of interesting things to discuss.
Yeah, StreamYard didn't exist when we were getting started. We had to suffer through the old ways of doing things.
There was a backyard, but not a StreamYard.
There's an inside joke. All right, let's bring on our guests / hosts because this is their YouTube channel that we've taken over, and I'm not sure we're going to give it back. I think we might hold on to it. This might just become the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel. Let's bring them on. First, though, from Chatter Squadron, we've got Tyler Bucks. Tyler, welcome.
Hey, Dominic. Wow. I'm a little afraid now because of everything you just said, but also I'm a little intimidated because I do know that whole intro you did, that was all one breath. That was craziness, man. That was like 3 minutes long. But we're excited to be here in the underworld and on Pod Force 99, even though we don't have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't give you an option. Also joining us also from Chatter Squadron. You can see him there if you're watching. We got Logan. Also joining us from Chatter Squadron. You can see him there if you're watching. We got Logan Honsiger. Logan. Oh my God, Logan! What the hell is wrong with you? What just?
Who is Loden?
My name is destroying you, Loden. I like Loden. I'm gonna keep it.
Is this a side effect of the inhibitor chip? Just
something happened there. I went from one breath, all of that, to just not being able to say the name Logan. Let me try that one more time for our audio cut.
You guys are getting
Hugh Jackman.
You're getting an uncut version of a show right now.
Yes.
Yeah. There's this. Usually, I can make all of the edits and all that stuff. But yeah. All right. One more time, and also join. Thanks, guys. And also joining us from Chatter Squadron, we've got Logan Honsiger. Logan.
Just roll with it.
Logan, how are you, buddy?
I am great. I want to let you know, even if you were going to say Logan, I was going to come in and introduce myself as Loden. So I was going to sabotage you regardless of what's happening. Yeah, that is my Star Wars name now, Loden. I love it.
I mean, there's that character in the High Republic that is called Loden, and so I think that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, this is why.
Good old Great Storm,
and that's me. I am.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that where you're going every night when we're trying to work on the show?
Yep.
You're going to the High Republic?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Well, get
Let's-
yourself out of the High Republic so we can talk about the Bad Batch.
I will
Yeah,
try.
Let's talk some Bad Batch, and the way we do it on Podforce 99 is our guests. We always ask you guys first to just give us your overall thoughts on Bad Batch so far. So Tyler and Logan, let me throw it over to you guys.
Logan, Loden, go ahead and say.
See, he did it. He did it. No, I'm loving it so far as a series this far. It's people keep making the joke about it, how it feels like season 8 of Clone Wars,
Right.
And I think it's just enough feeling of that for me, where it actually it does feel like its own thing, obviously with the Bad Batch, and it feels like they are doing something completely not completely new, but you know what I mean, taking a new avenue and showing us new things between obviously Order 66 and the Empire, but yeah, I'm loving it, especially this episode, because I do want to say I called it.
You called it again.
I called it.
You've
I
been
called it
calling
twice.
You've been calling it often. For me, when it comes to the Bad Batch, I am really enjoying it. Even if it is kind of season 8 of the Clone Wars, I love the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So what's there not to love? You know, and we do poke fun on the show all the time about why is Omega there? Why do they have to bring Omega onto a mission where she's going to get crushed by scrap metal? So there's always that part of me as an adult looking at this being like, okay, guys, just put her somewhere else, please.
Give her some clothes, give her a costume.
Get him a costume. Yeah, get Rex a costume because he doesn't have one now. Yeah, either way, but there's those little things, but at the same time, I mean, you know, it's not that kind of movie, pal. So we're just kind of rolling with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is season 8. I think we can just say it. We can just call it. It's season 8 of the Clone Wars. That's what it is. All right. Seeing as we are guests on the Chatter Squadron YouTube channel here, I won't do our usual plugs. Instead, I'll just say if people enjoy Podforce 99 and any Star Wars Underworld podcasts, they should subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever else they get their podcasts. All right, let's get into Battle Scars, and we'll start how we always do by going around the table, giving our initial impressions. And Chris, since Ben is not here, that's right, he missed out on the big crossover. I'm going to throw it to you first. What did you think of Battle Scars?
Somehow he's in the live chat though, so I'm wondering what is going on here.
Yeah. What is he doing that's better than this? Where
chatting?
Where is he chatting from?
I'll tell you what, chatting is pretty cool.
Chatting. Just kidding.
Anyway, Ben, go ahead, or Chris, go ahead. See, we don't know names anymore.
Yeah, this is what I've done to you. I've killed
That's right.
everybody's ability to say names.
Ben is my Star Wars name. Yeah, no, this episode was really great. I felt like the show kind of was stalling a little bit until the last few weeks. I really liked last week's episode, and this week, I think built on that. It was great to kind of have the plot kind of move forward and have some really serious stuff with the chips, because we've been kind of speculating about when all that would happen, and finally it's happening. And it was just cool to see Braca. It was cool to see a connection to Jedi Fallen Order. So I thought that was really awesome as well. So yeah, this episode was one of those episodes that was like written as like a show episode. Like you need it. Like if you had like a certain amount of episodes that you have to watch to kind of get through a season and like understand the plot line of the season, this is one that you have to watch. And I really, really appreciate that. So I think there needs to be at least every other week, I'm expecting to see something kind of major. And that was this week. So yeah, I a lot of good initial impressions of this episode for me.
Nice. Tyler, over to you. Overall, what'd you think of Battle Scars?
Well, I got a little confused with just the title of this episode, and I watched the entire series of Battlestar Galactica, and so I'm it's a great show, so I can talk about that for sure. But when it comes to Battle Scars for Bad Batch,
haven't
seen it yet. I'm gonna be no. I liked it a lot, especially because it was very like dirty and grimy, and you know, like you said, going to a ship like boneyard, basically. It felt very Force Awakens to me, and that's one of my favorite Star Wars films. So anytime people are traveling around in broken down Star Destroyers and stuff, it just kind of gives me those feels again. But I think they did a lot of brave things in this episode, and they could have taken some steps over the line in this episode, which may have been good or may have been bad, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But Logan, what did you think?
Yeah, I always like we established, it's definitely a darker episode, which I personally enjoy. I like a little bit of the grit and the darkness of the episode. Also, I loved seeing the old garbage monster.
Oh yeah, the Dianoga.
I have a theory. I have a theory that that's the same one from A New Hope. He squirmed away.
No, all the way. Oh, geez, space travel with that one.
Yeah, you know what I mean. There's no limits, but no, and I do like the stakes that they gave to the chip and removing the chip, because I feel like in Clone Wars, we mentioned it briefly when we were just talking that it was kind of very quickly done with Rex.
About 5 seconds.
You know what? Yeah. So this one, it really gave it stakes, and even with Omega having that connection to Wrecker, and because he was kind of the first one to go through the procedure, it gave us those stakes of like, oh, right, this could go wrong. You know, this couldn't be just this easy bloop and then it's out. You know,
right.
Like something could happen to these characters when they're doing this.
It's still brain
cool.
surgery.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, exactly. So that was super cool to see the stakes. I feel like the stakes are there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could really feel it in this episode. Like there were moments that it almost felt like a horror movie. Like you were maybe not even a horror movie, but just certainly Jurassic Park had some moments like that, and you could just tell that what was happening in this episode was important to the characters and to the overall story of potentially more than just the Bad Batch. I mean, Rex seems to be working on something big, and his introduction in this episode seems to mirror the introduction of Viggo Mortensen's character in the Lord of the Rings. I don't know Lord of the Rings, so I don't know character names, but I know
Aragorn.
Thank you. I know that
although he's Strider at that moment.
Right.
True.
So my point is, I know he's important, and I know Dave Filoni puts a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff into his Star Wars, and so the fact that he's making this connection between Rex and Strider suggests that something is going on here with this character. Something important is happening, and he may have a larger role to play than we even expect at this moment. So, yeah, it's big stuff. I see Ben in the chat is calling me an uncultured swine. You know what, Ben? I'm glad you're not here. I'm glad you're not here, pal.
Oh my goodness, it's true. Ben.
And now it's on the screen. That's when it's true.
This is what happens in Chatter Squadron. We're rough and rowdy.
Yeah, look at this. All right, let's talk about Captain Rex, because this is his big debut on the show. And Logan, I'll throw this over to you. What did you think of the way they brought him into the story and his role in this episode?
I thought it was definitely, well, because coming from last episode with Rafa and Trace, was there was that kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Mysterious, the figure. Who are they talking to? Who are they going for? And I think it was you, Ty, on the show that said that your prediction was Rex, I believe. And I was like, I'm an idiot. I didn't even think of that. But
That's true.
It's just the idiot part.
Yep.
But no, I thought it was brilliant how they brought him in, and it makes sense where the Bad Batch is at in their arc. Like, I know he couldn't have come in any later. I feel like he had to come in like right when he did. But I definitely liked his intro, like you said, with the connection to Strider, and definitely more ominous, and definitely a little, like I said, a little gritty. I felt. Go ahead.
Yeah, almost a little bit like Gandalf. He is never late. He arrives exactly when he's supposed to.
Yeah, it's almost like there's writers
who write this show
who are making all this happen. But yeah, he came in, and I don't want to say he came in and just kind of saved the day, but he really did. He came in and kind of told him what was up. And I liked how initially he was so, like, as soon as he found out that their inhibitor chips were still in, he went like right on edge. And I was like, that's that's cool because they just established how close they were. I mean, Wrecker just picked him up and hugged him and said, "We like this, Reg." And then probably seconds or minutes after, just because the inhibitor chip, he's all on edge. And I was, again, Rex and Omega in this episode both really helped this have. I'm going to bring it back to the stakes for where the Bad Batch is at. And I don't think they could have done that without Rex.
Yeah, that moment you're talking about where Rex goes to draw his gun it really feels like it's another reminder, and the show has given us several of them of just how traumatic an event Order 66 is, right? Like, in the movies it's sad, it's awful, but it's over in about 3 minutes. The nice thing about a show like this is we get to follow these characters every week, and we see week in and week out how it impacts their lives. And some weeks it's not a big part of it, and then there's other weeks where they're reminded that at any moment any of them could snap, and next thing you know, they're the enemy. Chris, what did you think of Rex in this one?
Yeah, I really loved his introduction, and it's cool because this is the second Rex introduction that we've gotten. We got an introduction, or reintroduction, I should say, to him in Rebels. And in Rebels, he's kind of like he's out of it. He's out of the game, and then he's brought back in. So it's really interesting seeing him still as a character that is very much in the thick of things and maneuvering around in this universe, and fighting for something. Like it's definitely a different Rex, a very different Rex that we're seeing here than the Rex that we see in Rebels. So I think it was cool to have the opportunity for that. And I mean, the hints being given here about the bigger things that Rex is working on, very analogous to Ahsoka coming into Rebels. You got this whole thread now that has been continuing to be built on this formation of the rebellion type thread, and it's going to continue to be a huge part of Star Wars with Andor, with Kenobi, with a lot of things in that era of the rebellion being formed. So I think we're going to have quite an interesting saga put together between this show, The Bad Batch, Andor, Kenobi, Rebels, and then leading up and culminating in Rogue One, which I think is going to tie all of these things together. Rogue One introduced a lot of new characters and, brought back one character, Saw, that we didn't know much about, had just seen in one arc of the Clone Wars. Now, when we watch Rogue One, it's going to feel like the climax of all of these shows, which is going to be very, very interesting. So I'm curious to see moving forward how Rex, what role Rex has in the beginnings of the rebellion, because again, by the time we get to Rebels, he's out of it. So I'm very curious to see what he actually did.
Yeah, that was something that sort of struck me about the episode, was how active Rex seems to be in everything that's going on. Because when we see him in Rebels, and I went back and rewatched the opening of that episode just to make sure I remembered it right, he's retired. He's just laying back, kicking back, chilling. He's not really involved. And whereas in this episode, he feels very actively involved. And if Rebels weren't a thing, I'd be sitting here thinking like, oh, he's going to be playing an active role in the story. And we'll be telling ourselves, oh yeah, he was just in the background somewhere, just off camera during the Death Star attack planning mission in A New Hope, which we always seem to do with these animated characters. But Rebels suggests that something along the line is going to happen to Rex that takes him out of the game, takes him out of the fight. And given how, strident he was in this episode about, I'm still fighting for the Republic, I wonder what that is. I wonder what could it be that would take Rex off the board like that? Tyler, do you have any ideas, any thoughts on this?
Well, war in the Star Wars is sometimes overlooked, and it is a real brutal war. And I think you guys kind of brought that up, of the trauma of Order 66. And I have a feeling it's going to have something to do with Ahsoka when it comes to Rex. And it's either the fact that Rex knows that Ahsoka is okay and he can kind of stand down, or it's the fact that he knows that he needs to be there for the other clones that he's with kind of in retirement. They also need him to just be friends, to just kind of relax. But once again, once duty calls, he's right back in the fight. So I think Rex is kind of just laying dormant. He's like Nessie and like Loch Ness, just like, you know, when the rebels show up, that's the earthquake that releases him out of the hollow earth. And this is my time to tell you guys about the hollow earth theory that I believe where Nessie is hidden, as well as the gold of most pirates. So I don't know why you guys are laughing about that.
There's a lot of Republic
I feel like
credits
that's
down
pretty
there.
serious.
I feel like I pretty much explained all of it. So back to you, Dom.
I'm with
I
you,
mean,
I'm with you.
also it reminds me of Yoda too, and Obi-Wan to an extent too. They both kind of did the same thing. Like
With
when
the-
you
the
get to
empty Earth where all the pirates are.
Yeah.
That's right. That's really what they're doing all that time.
That's where
what
they
the
keep the
Kenobi show
props.
is about. Yeah. He's trying to dig down beneath the scenes of Tatooine. But no, I mean, that's the thing is, like, by the time you get to the original trilogy, a lot of the major players from the prequels are dormant in a sense, and it's really up to the next generation to carry things forward. And the previous generation is their mentors, but they're not going to lead the charge. And so you kind of have that shift in Rex happening at the same time that you see it with these other characters, because he is from the previous generation. So it just makes sense from like a generational point of view. But again, like, all of these characters have something specific that happens to them that leads them into this kind of hiding, into this kind of sabbatical from being on the front lines. And we don't know what that is for Rex. For Yoda and Obi-Wan, it was their failure to stop Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. Rex, probably hasn't had that failure yet. So will we see that in this show? That's really the big question.
Yeah, I did like what you said, Tyler, a few minutes ago about Rex. He sort of retires to help out the old clones, right? Because if you look at that Rebels episode, that first one in particular, Wolf and Gregor are clearly not in anywhere near as good a state as Rex is. Wolf, his first reaction is to shoot at Kanan because he's certain the Jedi are going to come back and get revenge, and Gregor is just Gregor in that episode. I don't know how else to describe it. And so, yeah, maybe he'll realize, okay, I can do more to help these guys, in this moment than I can to help the fight. And when the fight needs me again, I'll be ready. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm curious to know what he's up to now, what they're doing now, because he's clearly setting up something at the end, and it clearly involves Trace and Rafa. And I think you start to put the pieces together that leads to Ahsoka, and so they seem to be maneuvering for something, and I'm curious to see what that's going to be. Does anybody have any theories, any ideas of where you think that might be going that you want to throw out?
Well, I think you have in Rebels, you have this whole fulcrum set up where Ahsoka's feeding information to the rebellion. So I think they're probably kind of setting up that system where they can have people in the background that are kind of truly, getting the information and leading things, but the people don't even know their names. They're relegated to code names. Because like right now at this point, it seems like everybody kind of like who's connected to Ahsoka, they know who Ahsoka is. They know what Ahsoka's doing because it's the people close to her. It's Trace and Rafa. It's Rex. And presumably the Bad Batch may find out about this directly. So I think the change that we're going to see and what they're probably trying to set up is a way for people like Ahsoka to kind of fade a little bit into the background so that there's not as much of a target on them, because I'm sure they know that if Darth Vader figures out about it, it's not going to be good. So that's probably what they're doing. And perhaps that's one of the reasons why Rex, that's a good reason why he would kind of like retire in a sense, because he would know too much about it. Like if he were to be captured at any point, it would be a huge liability. He might know things about Ahsoka and things about the rebellion that, would topple it from the top if it was extracted from him. So perhaps what they're trying to do is they're trying to set up this system where Ahsoka's protected, where the original kind of founders of the rebellion that are connected to Darth Vader are protected. And then the next generation can come in. People like Cassian and the Ghost Crew can come in and actually be at the forefront of the fighting. Like, I don't know, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I like
and right now, Rex is, from the Empire standpoint, he even said he's dead, you know? So that's a big help. Like you said, Chris, is like a working from the shadows type person.
Yeah.
I mean, he would fit that role perfectly.
He literally disappears into the shadows at the end of this episode.
Right.
Very true. But if you want to go with a low profile, don't wear the exact same clothes that are in your wanted poster.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I
Omega and Rex just need to learn that little tip.
Yeah. Or just paint the armor.
Just paint the armor, something, give her like a Cal Kestis style poncho, like we've said before, to just cover Omega from head to toe.
Well, here's my idea. Why don't Omega and Rex just switch outfits?
That's a good point.
They're the
Why didn't I
same
think about
size.
that? Oh my gosh. Brilliant. We cracked the case.
Omega seemed to have the Clark Kent Superman thing, or she thought she had that going on. She took off that little head jewelry thing of hers, and she's like, "I'm a totally different person."
Yeah,
right. That's right. And that gave so many theorists like an immediate letdown, because they're like, "What's under the headpiece?" Nothing. Nothing's under there.
Nothing is under there. Let's talk about Omega's moment with Rex, because I thought this was a nice moment and kind of an interesting one. I'll throw it out. Any reaction to this moment where Omega and Rex have their introduction, and she basically calls him old, which was my favorite part of it.
Yeah, that's something that I loved about it. She also called him a reg, so that she's just spending so much time with the Bad Batch. It's like, look at this old reg. It's like, you didn't even know what dirt was a couple days ago. Calm your jets a little bit, okay?
Slow down, Omega.
I can't help that I'm old. I was made to age so fast, okay? But once again, I think you can kind of see that Rex is on edge in the sense of him meeting Omega and kind of being like, okay, who is this? You know what I mean? Like, that's just a weird, like, I don't know what's going on here. I kind of would like to know what's happening. She's a clone. Okay, I don't believe you. Like, that was starting with a little bit of the seeds as to that, that was going on. But I think Omega was probably just really jazzed up because she had all that sugar from the popcorn, which, by the way, I have had, and it is worth stealing and putting on somebody else's tab. 110%. I would eat that popcorn right now.
Yeah, they're not stealing it. Sid's paying for it.
They're
paying for it. Actually,
see, now you have that mindset. Oh, that's true. Now they are paying for it.
They are.
Who do you think the first person to go to Galaxy's Edge and say, "Oh yeah, put this on Sid's tab"? Who do you think that will be? And has it
everybody?
Yeah.
Is everybody an answer?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm doing
whoever
that.
went there on Saturday,
Yeah.
the day after the episode came out. That's
speaking of questions, I do have a quiz for everybody at the end of this, and it's about Dee Bradley Baker, who voices all of the clones and kind of the roles that he did. So that's my first little teaser. At the end of this, there will be a quiz that everyone is going to be playing, but you guys can play at home as you listen or watch.
All right. I love a good quiz. I'm excited for this.
Well, it's a mid-range okay quiz. Let's just be
all right.
We won't call it a good quiz.
Yeah, let's pump our brakes.
We'll find out. So about Omega, I thought this moment with Rex is really interesting because it kind of goes back to something that I was saying in previous weeks, which is that he's the alpha to her Omega, and she's like kind of confirming it by saying that he's from the first group. So that's kind of the through line of this show. Is it's showing the entire span of the history of the clones, because you now have a character coming in who is one of the first clones, the alpha class, and then you have Omega, who is presumably one of the last clones. So I thought that it was cool that they kind of are underscoring that thing that is more of a lore thing that like wasn't really discussed until now inside the show. So I thought that was really cool. And then just speaking about Omega specifically in this episode, I have a really interesting question, which is, why does Omega not have an inhibitor chip?
Yeah, that stood out to me as well. I'm very curious about this, and I'm almost wondering, and I wrote in my own notes here, why doesn't Omega have an inhibitor chip? I really can't talk
Inhibitor
today.
hip.
Inhibitor hip.
She's a bad inhibitor hip and can't walk.
Yeah,
you need
that's
surgery for that.
that's her
Different
bad batch mutation. She has an inhibitor hip.
Well, she
Yeah.
can get an inhibitor hip replacement, I think.
Oh yeah,
So
Durasteel.
I wrote in my notes, why does she have an inhibitor hip? And then I put in brackets, or does she?
Oh.
I'm wondering if she might, because they made a big deal of checking everybody else. They checked Echo, they checked Tech, they checked Hunter, and of course they checked Wrecker. They didn't seem to check Omega, and I would have thought, wouldn't you just check it just to be safe?
Well, it seemed like she
Right.
was the one who brought up, like, well, I don't have one. Like,
Yeah.
wait, how do we
Mhm.
know? Like,
Right.
was that something that I missed? That like early, like first season, they just went, or first episode, they just went boink.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, seriously, because I just like, you're really taking her for her word? Okay.
She's like 8 years old. 8-year-olds lie all the time.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's what I was thinking. Even this episode, it hit me. I wrote down in my notes, like, I expected it from everyone else, but not Tech. When he just assumed, like, oh yeah, the inhibitor chips can't, we can't, they can't hurt, they can't control us. Like, we're over it. And he's like, are you, except Crosshair? And it's like, what are you? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of like taking people at their word. Like even
Right.
Tech is like, no, we're kind of immune to it. And it's like, but you're not. So it's the same with Omega, like that. She just said she doesn't have an inhibitor chip. Where's the
Plus,
proof?
what is interesting too, and I want to go back to Omega in a second, but just to bring up that thing about Tech is we've had a question that we put out there, which is, how long has Tech known about the inhibitor chips? And now it's been confirmed in this episode that he has not known for very long about them, which is interesting. So it shows that that he definitely has quite a large blind spot in information. So then that kind of flows into now we've seen kind of two instances where he didn't have complete information and it caused problems, because one, he didn't know about the inhibitor chips. So the thing with Crosshair happened as a result of that. And now you have this really close call with Wrecker because he thinks that it's fine, but it's not. So yeah, I don't know. You can't really trust Tech's information after this. I don't think you can't just assume everything that he says is right.
Yeah, Tech is one of those guys who says he knows everything, but there's some things he very clearly doesn't know. And yeah, I'm a little skeptical there too. So I'm wondering if we might wind up back on Camino at some point, and one of the Kaminoans will flip the switch for Omega's chip, and next thing you know, she's betraying the Bad Batch, working against them, and because they all trust her as they should.
She's just
Right.
going off with that bow.
Well, yeah, Omega, kind of like the Omen, turn her into like a creepy devil child.
Yeah.
Good soldiers follow orders.
This
at
would
the end of a
be-
hallway.
That line is creepy enough. We don't need to have a little tiny child say.
That's it. I want a little creepy child. Come on, Omega.
Oh dear. Yeah,
Just be
I
at
don't
the
know. I
end
don't
of
know.
the hallway on Camino. Just good soldiers follow orders.
Yes.
As she's drawing
Boy.
back the bow.
No.
That's ominous.
No. Okay. So now we're getting some hints here about there's definitely a bigger thing going on with Omega that we don't know about. There's something lurking. We don't know what it is. It might not be that, but it's something. Because first we have these hints that, she's made for a purpose, and they don't know what that purpose is. Because there was these hints that in the episode with McClane, Cut and Run, where they were talking about, the Kaminoans don't really do things by accident. Like, it's not that the Bad Batch isn't an accident. So thus Omega cannot be an accident. So you have some purpose for her. Now it's come up that she's saying that she doesn't have the inhibitor chip. So one of two things: either she's lying or has been told an incorrect piece of information about that by someone else. how's that affect, this possible purpose that she has and why she exists? Or if she doesn't have one, even more, I think, interestingly, what would be a purpose for her that would be intentional, that would require them not having the inhibitor chip and for her to fulfill that purpose? Like, we're getting some hints. We can now kind of think about what this potentially could be because we have more than one piece of information now about this.
Yeah. There's one moment that may be kind of the key to all of this, or it may just be nothing. And that's all the way back in the first episode when Nala Se let the Bad Batch go with Omega, right? The door was supposed to close and she overrode it somehow and they were able to escape. And doesn't quite add up with everything else that we've seen the Kaminoans doing. So I wonder if there's something more going on there. Is it something like Nala Se is like, oh, I actually like Omega. That's the one clone I like. So I want her to be safe. I don't want her to stick around with these terrible people from the Empire. Or was it something more sinister? Could Omega be kind of, a sleeper agent for the Kaminoans amongst the Bad Batch? Because we know they want the Bad Batch back.
Well, when it comes to Omega, in our predictions episode, I put out that I do think that there's a possibility that she will be force sensitive in some kind of a way. And there's been little hints of that where she just, especially with Crosshair going up to him at the very beginning, being like, you are feeling conflicted or what, like she just basically told him how he was feeling. There's been little stuff like that. And I think because Nala Se, correct? Omega was her like lab assistant, quote unquote. So this whole time she's kind of been hiding her true purpose and probably hiding it a little bit from Omega. So once again, Omega being a sheltered child probably is very much like, this is what I am. This is what I do. Right. I just believe this at face value, while the Kaminoans know, hey, listen, this is a very special kid. She's, we're doing this whole test to see if we can get them force sensitive. It happened. And now they're doing that whole kill Jedi thing. Yeah, let's just let them escape, and then we'll bring her back in some other way, but not right now. It's kind of hot here. It's possible that's that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. She was made along that theory, she was created as being force sensitive, but before the whole, hey, let's turn on the Jedi thing. So, there's that attachment to her. And then the Kaminoans, however, they see that and they're like, okay, we need to get her out of here. But they, like you said, I still don't think that conflicts with them having an overarching plan with her either. They can let her go knowing that they're after her and knowing like, hey, we could get her back.
Yeah,
what I mean?
We can get her back. We can hire someone that'll hold her over a bunch of moving cars off of like a water tower. You know, like that. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
They orchestrated that truck of mattresses going by. So.
Exactly.
Everything was planned. It was all part of the plan.
Yeah. Just like all the holes in the middle of the earth. That's where all of our actual money is. There's no real gold in the U.S. system anymore.
All right.
I didn't have the echo for that one.
All right. Let's talk about the moments with Wrecker when he actually loses it, when he goes all Order 66 on his friends. I mean, that moment to me was like a combination of Jurassic Park, the fight against Thanos in Infinity War with Iron Man and Star-Lord and all that stuff. And it was a combination of those two, and it was just but so much more heartbreaking. Like so devastating to watch that moment when Omega's at the other end of the hallway and she's just shot at Wrecker, and he turns around to face her. Props to the animation team because they did such a good job with both of those characters' faces. You could really feel the emotion in there, and especially you go back and look at early Clone Wars and just how far we've come and how far they've been able to push the technology to create something really incredible. And then just that whole chase. Chris, let's throw this to you. What did you think of this whole sequence with Wrecker?
Yeah, it was very, very well done. because you have a mixture of drama and action. And a lot of times in Star Wars, you kind of have one without the other, and it just doesn't come together fully. So this was extremely cinematic because you have the drama of what's happening internally with the characters, but then you also have the action as well. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it was extremely well done. It was riveting. As always, voice acting absolutely incredible in this show, and helped sell the intensity of those moments. Yeah, it's something that they also just did a great job of building up over many, many, many episodes, because you had this thing with him and he's always grabbing his head and having the headache. And then you have, everything that happened as Crosshair being essentially foreshadowing for this moment. So it was well done, not just from the perspective of how well it was done inside this episode, but how well it was done in the season so far, and the communication needed between all of the different writers and directors from all of the episodes to kind of know they were leading up to this point. Like that's very impressive to pull off in a show structured like this. So I'm very impressed with it.
Well, I also want to give major props to the sound design and the musical score for that whole sequence of about to give him the shot, and just watch it again and really listen to it. Maybe even don't like watch what's happening, just listen to what's happening, of how just the sound just dropped. It was almost like the seismic charges, where just the sound dropped as he caught his hand, and then the soundscape changed, the score changed, the shots changed, they came down a little bit more on the characters, and all of a sudden it became a horror movie. Like legit, I put in the notes that I have for myself, very Jason Voorhees, just kind of this lumbering giant coming towards people. And it's shot very much like when Wrecker threw the door open. That shot, if there was a cameraman there, he would be on the floor looking up at him, just to show how massive Wrecker is. And I just think everything working together really made that feel like it's just a snap out of, even though we saw it coming, quote unquote, it just kind of happened out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to make it even more, I guess, tug at your heartstrings and sad, the beginning of this episode is where Wrecker and Omega are eating the popcorn together. It starts off with them having such this connection between the two. And then when you see that turn, it's like, we all know Wrecker is huge and could destroy all of them regardless. But that, like you said, the emotional of it, that connection of watching Omega tell him, this is the chip. This is not you. It's like, oh, and then you want someone to come in and hit Wrecker because he's coming after Omega, but then every hit is like, oh no, Wrecker just got hit. Oh no, Hunter just got. It's like every blow that's exchanged, there is no winner.
And there was something very unsettling too that we did kind of learn in this episode. I'm sure it was brought up in some other types of media, but the fact of Wrecker apologizing to Omega about what he did and how he couldn't control himself. The fact that it seems like he and all other clones who have the chip and experience Order 66 know what is happening.
They're conscious of it.
They are conscious of what is going on, and they are trying to stop doing it. That is insanely unsettling. I have a little bit of a chills just even saying it. And yeah, it's just that when he said that was just one of those little scotias of a opening that said, wait a second, he knew what he was doing. That's something that you're going to wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about.
That's my theory for Crosshair. They get him, they get everything, they subdue him, they take out his chip, and nothing's changed. It was all his choice the whole time.
He's had it out for that old lady in the first episode for a very long time.
They go to remove his chip, and there's just a scar there, and they're like, what?
I saw an opening. More killing.
That would be very chilling. Yeah, the moment where Wrecker is closing in on Omega, it did seem to me like he was hesitating just a little bit. And the only other clone we've seen hesitate is Rex.
Mm-hmm.
And Rex was he was only able to hesitate for a few seconds, and it was only with Ahsoka. And last week, when Wrecker nearly went into his Order 66 rage, he was snapped out of it. My theory was he was snapped out of it because of Omega's voice, because she was the one that called to him on the comlink for help, and that there was some kind of connection between the two of them that would pay off when his chip was activated. And it didn't quite pay off the way I expected it to, which is not a bad thing. It was great the way it went. But I do wonder if Wrecker was slowed down just a little bit by his connection with Omega, the same way that Rex was slowed down a lot in comparison by his connection, or thanks to his connection with Ahsoka. And I wonder again if we look at Crosshair, and I'm going to take a little bit more of an optimistic stand here, and hope that he can be a good guy.
Nah.
Guy again. Is maybe that's what they'll find a way to get through to him, as this is our squad, this is our team, we're all brothers, we've been fighting this war together, nobody else knows what we've been through except us, the same way that Rex and Ahsoka had that experience, and to an extent Omega and Wrecker have had that experience over the last couple of episodes. So I'm wondering if there's a little build up there. The other thing I wanted to mention about this, and you guys have all mentioned this, how this has been built up over several episodes, this moment. It just hammers home to me how much I enjoy having a longer season. Because this is episode 7. If this were The Mandalorian, next week would be the finale. Because we have 16 episodes, next week is the midpoint. We'll still have just as much to go ahead of us. And I understand why The Mandalorian's only 8 episodes. I get it. It's a super incredible technological achievement, and all that money and all that time has to go into creating the volume and all that stuff. But I'm so thrilled to have 16 episodes for this, and I'm really looking forward to Andor having 12 episodes there, because you can draw out the story just a little bit more and really make these moments hit harder, because every episode built to this in a small way, some in big ways, others in small ways. Even that episode with Fennec Shand, right? The moment in the sewers when Wrecker emerges from the shadows, you see how big and terrifying he can be, and then he picks up Omega and gives her a little hug and everything. But you see how threatening he could be and how terrifying he could be, and again, so that when you have that moment where he's against you, you realize, oh, this is going to be scary. This is going to be really, really terrifying. And you get that when you take the story just a little bit slower. Maybe it could have been sped up a little bit, but slowing it down gives you that chance to really make the moments hit. And so I hope that going forward with the Star Wars series, I hope that they can do more than 8 episodes, even if it's just 12, because you can do just a little bit more and really make these moments hit.
Especially Andor. I mean, that feels like a story that needs some time to breathe because of characters that we already know, and needing to kind of reintroduce them to where they are now, kind of get some more footing as to what's happening. And then I don't think we should hold out hope for our, Obi-Wan being if that feels like they wanted to do a movie and then they just took the first draft of the script and said, we're going to make a series.
Yeah.
and you need those slower episodes too, and anything too,
Mm-hmm.
like we were talking a few weeks ago on the show, talking about like quote unquote filler episodes and how there's no such thing as a real filler episode, because it's always progressing story. So I wouldn't say they're filler, but you need, not everything can be just go, go, go. It's like, that's exhausting. So you need sometimes where you can slow down a little bit and have those builds that they, like you said, they mean so much more when you see it coming. Then the next week you see it coming. Then the next week you kind of see it and then, oh, it's not. And then it's like, it's killer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great storytelling. It's great storytelling. And then the moment where we've talked about this a little bit already, but the moment where Wrecker apologizes to Omega, and even before that, when Omega refuses to leave Wrecker's side, is Omega just a way better person than the rest of us? Because I feel like most people would, even if they understood what was going on, they'd be a little bit more traumatized, a little bit more wary of what just went down than Omega, who she got it right away. Omega's the best. She's clearly the best person in the galaxy.
Well, it seems like she never lost hope with Wrecker. So the fact they were able to subdue him and put him through the surgery, I don't think she lost hope that he was going to make it through and be the Wrecker that she knows and loves.
No, because she never shot. She had when he was closing in on her, she had a gun in her hand.
Well, she did shoot at him
Before she shot at him to get him to turn around from Hunter. But I'm saying he walked up on her. She still had the gun. And said, I think she even said, like, I don't want to hurt you. And he was still able to hit the gun from her.
Yeah.
And I don't think, obviously he's much bigger and is a trained soldier, but I think if she really wanted to, she could have easily, but like you said, she never lost hope. Even in the midst of that, she was willing to see how far it would go before just being like, okay, I got to defend myself and shoot him,
Yeah.
Yeah. And we saw in the first episode that she can shoot if she wants to. She can hit a target.
3 out of 12.
That's with a bow, at least.
Right.
But the gun is a little bit more, accurate. It's a terrific little moment there. And then the end of the episode, the Braca, what are they? I haven't played Fallen Order, so I'm a little bit out of my depth here. What are they?
They are
guild.
They are called the Scrapper Guild, I believe.
The Scrapper Guild. Yeah.
Can I just say, probably the coolest looking people so far? Like, what the heck? And why are their voices so cool too?
Yeah.
They're like, all right, we're gonna put you in like cool robes. You're gonna have a really cool mask. And you know what? You're gonna have like a really deep, scary voice too. All right, is this gonna help me when it comes to scrapping? Sure.
No, but we're gonna go with it.
Yeah. We already bought like 100 of these things, so
yeah.
You have to intimidate the junk.
You have to intimidate the junk.
Just look at it sternly, and it falls off the wall.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So those guys, they've spotted that the Bad Batch are there, or that somebody is there, and they've called for the Empire. Any what is this just sort of a setup for the beginning of next week, or are we a little worried that there might be a little bit more going on here?
I think there's a little bit more going on. If we see the lockdown that the Empire has of these, these stations where they're scrapping all these ships and everything, I think this is kind of maybe even the start of it. Like, you have this Scrappers Guild, and then we see them in like Jedi Fallen Order, and it's basically just like they're the bottom of the barrel and they just have the Empire over top of them. I think this is kind of just showing like, hey, we already have a connection this quickly with the Empire, and we're going to see how fast they can get there. I mean, Inquisitors can get to these scrapping sites very, very quickly, immediately. So I think the Empire, hearing about some AWOL clones, will be able to help out. If they did have Crosshair, he would be able to see them all the way over there. Like, hey guys, stop talking.
He could see him from Camino. He doesn't even have to move.
He still has his eyes on that old lady he wants to kill.
Yeah, he got her by now.
Yeah. But what did you think, Logan, when it came to, is the Empire on their way already, or are we going to see them on a run like we did at the beginning of this episode?
That's a good point. That's a good question. I think we will see the Empire, because we have had a lot of those moments where they leave someone and then immediately that person like doesn't wait 5 seconds before they call someone to tell them that they just saw some rogue clones,
right? And
nothing has come of it so far. So I do think this one seems legit, especially because they don't know that they got called in on.
Exactly.
So they're not in a rush right now. And honestly, they're in less of a rush because they all just had brain surgery, except Omega. So I do think they might be a little slowed down. I think we'll see the Empire. I hope this is where, because Crosshair's still, I hate to say it, he's my favorite. He was my favorite before, and he's my favorite. I love Crosshair. So if we can see him again and he could be on their tails, I would love
this.
That.
Makes sense for when Crosshair would come back, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And they meet again, and they're like, yo, we got our chips out. And he's like, me too.
Me too. I'm doing this all on my own.
This is all me, baby. It's all Crosshair. And he throws a toothpick right in their eye.
Yeah. I like that the show has started to, give us those little teasers for what next week will be right at the end. We ended on Rafa's call to what we now know to be Rex at the end of last week. Now this week we're setting up to see what might happen next. But yeah, we're overdue, I think, for a crosshair appearance sometime soon. All right, that is just about everything that I've got about this episode. Is there anything anybody else wants to bring up before we do the quiz?
Well, yeah, before we do the quiz, when it comes to Chatter Squadron, we do a couple things on our Bad Batch reviews, which is we asked the chat, what did you think of, was this episode 7 of the Bad Batch?
I believe episode 7, yeah.
Okay. Number 1, was this episode 7 of the Bad Batch?
First
But
question.
also, what did you think of this episode of the Bad Batch? Put it in the comments. You can possibly win the art behind us, and we'll bring it up on screen and talk about it a little bit. But also, Hannah Rayside, former host of Chatter Squadron, brought in the points system decimal edition. So
she made it confusing.
So 1 out of 10, what did we get? What did we think of this episode? I will go first. I'm calling this a 9.12.
Okay.
This is probably my favorite episode
I'm
of
gonna round
the
down
Bad
to
Batch.
9.1.
Is it? Or so you're going with 9.1?
No, I'm rounding your answer down.
Oh, okay, good. Make it even more confusing. But no, I'm gonna say this is probably my favorite episode of the Bad Batch so far, unless I rated one much higher in an earlier episode. But I think highest I've gone is 9, so I'm just topping it a little bit. There's still a 10 out there for me. Logan, 1 out of 10.
I'm gonna give it I will give it the highest marks, and I kind of forget what that is, but I'm gonna go like 8.8 because I don't think I've given anything over an 8.5.
Okay, good.
So it's still the highest, but I don't know if it's 9. I don't know if it's 9.
When you said highest marks, I'm like, geez, a 10. Wow. Bing, bang, boom. That's
I'm sorry. The highest marks of my previous, not the highest marks of overall.
I get it.
High marks.
Chris, what did you think as you're taking a drink of the water as I say that? What do you think? 1 out of 10.
I'm giving it an 8.5. I still think there's a lot of room to improve. It's not quite there yet for me, but this is still a very solid episode.
Thank you for the decimals. And then Dom, what do you think?
How many decimals are we allowed? Are we
As many as
as
you
many
want.
as you want? You can do pi if you know it by heart. Just go all the way.
8.14.
I'm giving it. I'm gonna give it a 9.573.
Nice.
Wow, tops me. Okay, I see.
573. Yeah, this was a phenomenal episode.
And as we go to the chat, we got Hannah Rayside. All the decimals. I see her like, who's that? Scrooge McDuck or whatever, who like jumps into the gold.
Yes,
That's her jumping into decimals.
Oh, the decimals.
We got Chad Benty in the chat saying it was episode 7. Thank you. I love the episode and gave it a 9.8765. 4321. Definitely my favorite episode. Scrap Rats for the win. We have Austin Hale saying a 7 as well. We have the absent Ben Hart saying this was honestly one of the best episodes so far. 9 out of 10. No decimals there. That's what happens.
Was Austin saying it was episode 7, or was he rating it a 7?
Oh, goodness. All right, let's take a look. So he said 7, and then he said episode.
It's like how Yoda would describe it. 7 episodes.
Yeah.
7 episode this was.
Stars Battle, favorite from mine it was.
And then let's end off here with Chris saying an 8.7 for him. And you know what? It already came in. Jonathan Marroquin said, I'll give it a 9.
Nice.
All these people, they're either jumping on the decimal train or they're not jumping on it at all. But it seems all around, a lot of people really, really enjoyed this episode. And I know I did.
Yep.
Yeah. And I hope people will enjoy this new quiz that I just put together today. So hopefully you guys don't know that much about Dee Bradley Baker. But while I'm explaining this to people, grab your markers and your notepads. And if people don't know, Dee Bradley Baker voices all the clones in the Clone Wars as well as the Bad Batch, which is just a crazy task when you think about it. All these scenes of him talking to himself in a room, it probably drives him a little bit crazy. But this quiz will test your knowledge on the voice acting powerhouse Dee Bradley Baker. I will name a media project that he has been involved in, and you will have to tell me what character or characters he provided the voices to. I have to give a point to someone each round. So whoever gets the closest to the answer, I will give them 1 point. Also, just know you can put various as an answer just in case I chose a project that he supplied various character voices to. Feel free to put down every character you think you know, but only one will be awarded. Only 1 point will be awarded each round. So no extra points if you're like an aficionado. And people in the chat and people driving to work, you can play at home when it comes to this and see if you can top everybody else. So is everybody ready? Does everybody understand?
If you are driving, just roll down the window and shout your answers out of it, and
We'll hear you.
We will hear you.
So no questions. I actually explained something well for once.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're good.
Okay, Logan, don't look at my screen over here because it has the answers. Okay, so Family Guy is actually the first one. DBB joined that cast of Family Guy in 2011 and has voiced a few characters, one of which we know very well. I'll just say that as a hint. But what are the 2 characters, or maybe multiple, that he has provided for Family Guy? And here's what I will say as someone who is awful at spelling. Don't feel too bad about spelling whatever you want to say correctly. But Family Guy, do we have our things down, everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I will say 3, 2, 1, and then you guys turn them to the camera. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's see them. Okay, we got Homer Simpson. We got various animals, and we got Herbert from Logan. Y'all were not correct.
I'm shocked that he didn't play Homer Simpson on Family Guy.
But here's the thing. And I need you guys to also, I can't do everything. So follow along who has the most points. I'm actually going to give this to Chris because he plays Klaus, which is a fish in Family Guy. And he's also played Admiral Akbar in Family Guy. But I'm also giving it to Chris because he's slated as various characters. So you said various animals. He's a fish. He's various characters. So I'm giving 1 point to him.
Klaus is
I knew he had
American
to.
Dad,
I knew he had to be at least one animal.
He's in both.
Oh, they probably did a crossover.
But yeah, Klaus is also in American Dad. Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is one that I feel like some people in the chat especially might know.
I do know this.
2 big fan favorites were voiced by Dee in Avatar: The Last Airbender, inspiring countless pieces of merch. So who were these 2 characters in Avatar: The Last Airbender? This is going to show people if you're a big Atla fan, everybody, or maybe you're a Blue People movie fan of Avatar. Let's give it a 3.
I'm watching everybody's glasses to make sure I don't see any reflections for cheating.
Perfect. 3, 2, 1. Let's flip them. Wow. Okay. That's actually really good. It is. Wait, did you yip?
I said yip.
Okay, so I'll give that to both. I'll give that
And
to
Appa.
both Chris and Logan. You guys both get a point. It is Appa and Momo. Dave Filoni was a part of the team, and the sources don't tell me if Dee Bradley Baker voiced Dave Filoni in the offices of that cartoon studio.
That's the extent of my Avatar knowledge.
Okay, so
to Clone Wars.
I will say, so Logan's at 1 and Chris is at 2.
That's the extent of my knowledge.
We're playing golf rules, right? Where you want the lowest score.
Right.
Hannah Rayside is actually helping us out. This is the first round. We got Chris at 1. He's now at 2. Dom is still at 0, and Loden is now at 1. So big props. Let's move to a big franchise here, Space Jam. Space Jam is coming back in July of 2021, but the original film in the 90s featured Dee Bradley Baker voicing some truly iconic characters. So if you don't know, think a little bit about some truly iconic characters from Come On and Jam and Welcome to the Slam, or whatever it is. I haven't seen that in such a long time. Alrighty.
I don't know. If
I
spelled
love.
that right.
Maybe we're getting some ASMR stuff with
my
the
writing.
markers
I
going
am-
across paper.
I'm not even this whole game. I'm not even looking at you because I don't even want to be tempted. I don't even want it. To be
You
an
never
accident.
look at me though.
That's
All right,
true.
let's give a good 3, 2, 1, and let's see those answers. Let's see. Logan says, "Oh, Martin the Martian."
Marvin.
Oh, Marvin the Martian.
Martin.
Dom says the catcher in the basketball game MJ plays in. And then we have another Marvin the Martian. Very interesting. All incorrect. He did Daffy Duck,
I was.
the Tasmanian Devil, and Bull. Bull. That's interesting. That's probably what you guys are thinking right now. This quiz is Bull. Now, when it comes to the answers, I feel like I gotta give this to Dom because maybe Bull caught a basketball from Michael Jordan at one point. So maybe you're playing 3D chess here, and I'm loving it.
I really appreciate this pity point. Thank you, Tyler.
Hey, no problem. This is just going to be our little secret.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Another thing that people are big fans of is Gravity Falls, which I haven't checked out yet. But Gravity Falls is a big franchise and has won some awards. One of the awards from this show is that they have under their belt is one that Dee Bradley Baker got them, basically. So what character did he voice in Gravity Falls? I don't like that was an immediate laugh, but we will see. Thank you. Hannah Rayside is an all-star right now. Chris is leading by 2. And Loden, see, that's the thing. There might be an asterisk. Logan, if you win, it'll be Loden who wins, not you.
Not me.
Okay.
I'm playing for Loden.
So Gravity Falls. Let's see it in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Gravity by Logan. Gravity or the Falls by Dom.
Nice.
And then Chris went the route of various characters. This one's hard to see who the heck I should give a point to. I feel like I shouldn't even. It's Waddles the pig. He got an award for once again making great animal noises like he did with Appa and Momo. Okay, let's see. I might have to give this point to Logan because
no, Loden. Don't give it to Logan. He's not winning.
I might have to because Chris, you got yours wrong, which was various characters, and then we got Dom, which is Gravity or the Falls. But Logan just said one wrong word, so
I put it all on Gravity.
He's wrong.
I put all the money on
He's
Gravity.
So he gets 1 point for that. But let's move into something that I think is near and dear to a lot of our hearts, which is Samurai Jack. Gendon wow, I even practiced this.
Hey, I got this one.
Go ahead.
Gendy Tartakovsky.
Thank you very much.
Yay.
That I just can't say the word Logan.
Hirosho. Okay. Gendy Tartakovsky created the first version of the Clone Wars cartoon back in 2003. But before that, he made the amazing show known as Samurai Jack. But who did Mr. Baker voice in that show? So who did he voice in Samurai Jack? Yes, the standing board is Chris at 2, Loden at 2, and Tom at 1.
How do you spell samurai?
This is how do you spell samurai? Well, I don't know, but we're going to give a good 3, 2, 1, and let's see. Logan said Samurai Jack's sword himself, and also Chris said an animal. So when it comes to the points, he played various characters in this one. So
I should have done it for this one.
I'm going to give this one to Dom because it seems like living inside of Dee Bradley Baker is just various characters. So that is very much him.
That counts. Yep.
That counts. All right, let's move on to one that I think, Logan, you might know something about, which is Adventure Time. Did you ever watch that?
A little bit. Actually,
a little bit. Okay, a skosh. Adventure Time had a crazy amount of characters, and Dee Bradley Baker provided the voices for several of them. So we have kind of a wide spread. Think of anybody that you might know from Adventure Time. Let's see. Oh, and Chad Benty in the chat is calling out more pity points for Dom. I don't give out pity points. Okay. I'm not a pity point guy. I just have to give out a point. That's the rule I gave for myself.
He's forced into it.
I was forced myself into it. Okay. Let's give a good 3, 2, 1, and let's see what y'all think. Let's see. The creepy king guy, Queen Elizabeth II, Finn, and other characters. Okay. Well, Chris, you just locked yourself up one, but it wasn't for Finn because he played Cinnamon Bun, Mr. Cupcake, Chet, and others.
Mr. Cupcake, he sounds regal.
No,
He's not a king. King Cupcake.
he's not a king, nor is he Queen Elizabeth II. But I love Cinnamon Bun. He's one of my favorite characters in that show.
I like that Dom knew, we both knew that there was like a king and queen character, but we clearly didn't know the names of that. Unless it was just me that didn't.
Oh yeah, you're giving me way too much credit there, Logan.
Hannah Ray Side, thank you. Chris is at 2, Dom is at 2, and Loden is at 2 as well. Robot Chicken. Now, we all know that Robot Chicken has a long history of spoofing Star Wars, but Dee appeared in a more recent season back in 2019. So what do you think he was credited as when he was there doing a show that spoofs Star Wars? Maybe he wasn't spoofing Star Wars, but maybe he was spoofing Star Wars. As Logan crosses out some stuff. All
Just
right.
a letter.
Are we ready? 3, 2, 1, and let's take a look. Logan says,
I had to bleep it out.
yeah, I'm not even going to try and say that. Dom says he played Loden, and we have Sequel saying random character or random creature. He played Clone Troopers, everybody. He played Clone Troopers.
Katie Sackhoff actually voiced this character.
Katie Sackhoff does voice that character.
Yeah.
And Katie Sackhoff was in the Clone Wars. Logan gets the point for this round.
No, give it to Loden. Don't give it to Logan.
Now he's spreading the point.
Give it to Loden. Give it.
Yeah,
to
so-
Loden.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay, we have 3 more questions here. So we're not going to keep you guys too long because we're talking about the SpongeBob SquarePants movie now. Who else ran to their theaters to see SpongeBob the movie? I know I did, but I didn't know I was hearing the future Captain Rex when I arrived. Here's a hint. You can probably just make up a random name and you might get it right as to who he played when it comes to these characters in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Logan's already tapping away.
Just like I'm writing a novel.
He
I'm
is-
listing every character from the SpongeBob.
Oh my gosh, is that your memoirs?
No, that's the other page.
Oh,
Oh, wait,
okay.
let me flip it.
Okay. Are we ready, guys? 3, 2, 1. Let's see. We got David Hasselhoff or the mustache guy. We got Fish number 4 by Dom. Character Under the Sea by Chris. Okay, I'm gonna get through this as quick as I can. He played Man Cop, Phil, Perch Perkins, Waiter, Attendant 1, Thug 1, Coughing Fish, Twin 1, Frogfish Monster, Freed Fish, and Sandals.
Is it the guy who shoots out his mustache?
I don't think. Wait, is that the mustache guy? Is
Like,
one of those
that's not
guys
a
the mustache?
This is a mustache. It shoots out.
I don't think that was one of those characters, but I'm going to give it to Dom because he did do a number, and most of these are numbered. I just loved it. I had to add it. Attendant 1, Thug 1, Coughing Fish. Like, they really did just go like, listen, we got to give every credit to this guy. He did a lot.
Coughing Fish.
I think the writer just gave up halfway through that movie. They're like, I don't know. I can't think of another character name. I don't know. Coughing Fish 1.
It's like,
Or just Sandals. And now, kind of what we're doing right now, Logan, in the upper floor of the house that we're recording this in, he voiced
Sweating.
he voiced someone in Hot in Cleveland. Now, not every project that a voice actor is needed on is an animated one. Hot in Cleveland was a sitcom and also one of the first ideas we had for what we should name Chatter Squadron. What voices did Mr. Baker provide for the Clevelanders? Now, this, I will say, I know you guys might be already writing, but one of them was the voice of a celebrity. So I'm just going to put that down there. I just saw Logan. This is the problem. We're here. We shouldn't be next to each other for this.
I have been weirdly keeping my head in a very strange tilt this whole time. So it's not even a thing.
Okay. Y'all ready? Let's do a 3, 2, 1 and reveal. Okay, we got Drew Carey, LeBron James, or dogs barking.
There's a lot of dogs barking in Cleveland.
Now, Chris, you just gave yourself a point there because he voiced George Clooney and Dog and Man. So you did nail that with the dog.
I knew it.
Nice.
Googled that. You Googled that.
Yeah, already it starts.
I also, once again, just like how credits are given to people, just man. He was man.
He was man.
You know, man.
Not even man number one.
So this is the final question here, and I will bring this up. We have, it's actually kind of close. We got Chris at 4, Loden at 3, and Dome at 3. So we might have a 2-way tie. We might have Chris take off and win this whole thing. Should I make this worth 2 points? I'm going to make this
interesting.
I make the rules. The final one is worth 2 points, and we'll see who wins the prize, which is to be my co-host for the rest of the time here.
For the rest of the time, Chatter Squadron.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't realize I was fighting for my life.
You are, man. I hope you know that. Okay, you guys ready for this? Legends of the Hidden Temple. Legends of the Hidden Temple was like a child's version of Ninja Warrior, and it was also one of the first voice acting jobs Dee Bradley Baker had all the way back in 1993. Now, this question is a little different because I'm going to tell you who the character is. He voiced the giant talking head on the show. What is the name of the giant talking head?
Are you kidding me?
No, I will not accept that, Loden. You might have to read.
I wrote it before you said it.
So I'll give you guys. Remember, Logan is fighting for his life here, guys. And also, the set is still going to have to stay in your house. So it'll be really awkward
as I'm there.
When Chris and Dome have to come over and record the show.
And I'll just be in bed.
All right, I'm talking to him. He's not writing it down. He's nervous, guys. Listen, this happens to him. Just look away. Look away and he can do it.
I promise this never happens. I swear.
Okay, let's give a good 3, 2, 1. Let's see what y'all thought it was. We got The Thinker. We got Tyler Rules. Please let me win. And Tiki Tom. All very good ideas, but his name was Olmec.
Oh,
interesting.
Olmec. Olmec. And I see that nobody has watched Legends of the Hidden Temple, but I guess this is going to have to. Oh, that's right. Wait, no, hold on. Let me see that again.
Yeah, right. That's
Logan, you got it. Yeah, Logan, you get to stay in the show, guy.
Well, no, Loden does.
Oh,
I have
Loden.
to leave, but
Guys.
Loden's gonna come in and replace me.
Loden is staying on the set. Loden wins.
Woohoo!
Wow, he really just ruined you guys, man. You must feel awful right now.
It was only my favorite show growing up. No big deal. I've never seen one episode.
Wow, and he knew it. That's why you're so good. That's why you deserve to be in this chair.
That's why I'm the co-host.
Well, thank you guys so much for having us on your show and you being on our show. So I hope you had a fun time, and anyone else listening had a good time as well.
Oh, this was fantastic. Thank you guys so much for letting us take over for a bit and for inviting us on. This was such fun. And yeah, Thank you. I got nothing else to say. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And everybody should also subscribe to Podforce 99.
Yes, they definitely should. So, is there anything else that anybody needs to bring up? Because when we said it was hot in Cleveland, we are not joking right now. I feel like I'm melting.
I'm like half melted already.
That's true. So, anything else? Any other plugs we need to give?
Everybody should be listening to the Star Wars Underworld after you listen to Chatter Squadron, of course. We record those live Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. We don't do video, so this was a lot of fun for us. We just do old school audio, and you can listen to them. We release them on Friday mornings to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your shows. And then, of course, we'll have a new episode of Podforce 99 on Monday, talking about whatever episode 8 is called, because they've decided that we don't need to know what these episodes are called before they are released anymore, which is something that for some reason has become a bee in my bonnet, but I'm not really, it's not really that big a deal.
Well, thank you to Dom. Thank you to Chris. Thank you to Loden, my new co-host over here. He's my own little clone.
Happy to step onto Chatter Squadron and kick that Logan guy out of here. I hated him.
Yeah, me too. And I just wanted to leave everybody by just reminding you that the Yeti, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, pterodactyls, King Kong, probably those keys you lost are all in the center of the hollow earth. So we'll see you guys next week for more truths. Bye, everybody.